My sister messed up my wedding, and now with her difficulties in trying to have a baby, my sister totally messed up my wedding. Now, given her difficulties with conception, my parents are suggesting that she should share my baby. So here's the deal. My sister Lisa, who's 32, managed to convince our parents and some other family members to skip my wedding. She thought it was totally wrong for me to propose while she was still going through her divorce. She resorted to deceit and gossip to push people away from me, as the truth by itself didn't suffice to turn them against me. So my Mark and I just posted on social media that I'm in my second trimester of pregnancy. I'm 29 years old, so my parents and Lisa found out about it like this, and after more than 3 years of silence, they decided to reach out and fix things with me. Why though? Lisa is unfortunately facing challenges with infertility and is unable to conceive. Even though she's faced several setbacks with IVF, she's determined to give it another shot. Lisa feels that surrogacy and adoption aren't the right choices for her right now. Now that I'm about to become a parent, my folks figured it might be a good idea to patch things up with Lisa so she can have some time with a kid who's not directly connected to her. They even suggested that the kid could have 2 moms, claiming it would be better for me since I'd get more support. It feels like my parents are just putting on a show of being a happy family, especially now that Lisa can't have kids. During the call, I could totally see right through their fake niceness. I let them know that I wasn't on board with this idea and that it was totally unreasonable to think I would go along with it. Honestly, it's absurd that they thought I would even consider letting Lisa take on the role of mother for my future child. I made it clear that their actions were misguided. It wasn't about giving Lisa a toy, but rather about their genuine feelings for me and their remorse for past behavior, especially since I was expecting a baby. They had a problem with what I said, insisting that Lisa was ready to step up for her future niece or nephew, and that they were only helping out because they anticipated I would need support when the baby arrived. They claimed I was overreacting and that everything was completely harmless. I mentioned that my husband and in-laws were already giving me all the help I needed since I was the mom. If it was so easy for them to avoid me before, they might as well keep it up in the future. I think I may have crossed a line here. I mentioned that Lisa's character might affect her ability to conceive, as I believe she wouldn't make a good mother. After that call, my parents, some family members, and Lisa herself bombarded me with a bunch of texts. Everyone is insisting that I owe them an apology, saying that my words were unnecessary and hurtful. They say it's not right to kick someone when they're already down. I can vividly remember everything that happened before my wedding, and I have a lot of resentment toward Lisa for what she did. I really don't feel any remorse for what I said. Just to give you an idea, while I was busy planning my wedding, Lisa was already 2 years into her marriage. Before tying the knot, she and her former Mark were in a relationship for 3 years, and she always got where he was coming from with his choice to remain child-free. After a year of dating, when they started discussing their future, it was one of the first topics she mentioned to our parents. Even though I was right there, they just kept chatting like I wasn't even in the room. Another issue is that Lisa and I have never really clicked, even back when we were kids. She's always been the favorite child in the family. Back in the day, we fought all the time, but over time, we figured out how to just tune each other out. She was totally sure that she wanted kids down the line, even if she was telling our parents that her ex was all about that child-free life. Ultimately, they decided to revisit the topic once they were married, and she held on to the hope that by that time, he would have a different perspective. She was really pushing him to consider having kids, but he stood his ground and wouldn't budge on his beliefs, which led to a lot of arguments between them. At family gatherings, she often appeared really upset and would share how challenging it was to be with him constantly. Honestly, I think it was her mistake to marry someone who clearly stated he didn't want kids. She believed she could change his mind, but honestly, she really shouldn't have expected him to take the blame when she couldn't even do it herself. Of course, I decided to keep all of this to myself because I realized it would only lead to more issues. After a few months of trying to convince him, my parents finally let me know that Lisa was back for good after a big fight with her husband. They said there was no escape from this situation anymore. At this stage, my Mark and I were just starting to put down deposits for our wedding. So we were together for nearly 4 years, and then we got engaged for a couple of months. We held off until we were both settled in our jobs, even though we had been ready for marriage for quite some time. So my parents basically said they wanted me to delay my wedding indefinitely after hearing that Lisa and her husband were splitting up. They were against me marrying Lisa while she was going through her divorce, thinking it would upset her. They mentioned that Lisa was already facing challenges since she had to delay her plans to start a family. They told me I shouldn't go ahead with my wedding to protect her feelings since she really wanted to be a mother. It was probably the most absurd and thoughtless request they had ever made of me. I made it clear that I wasn't going to postpone my wedding for Lisa. No way. No matter her feelings on the matter, I was set on getting married. I really didn't care about her opinion on my wedding since we were never that close. But my decision didn't really vibe with my folks. They were really frustrated that I wasn't willing to prioritize their cherished daughter's feelings over my own wedding plans. They told me straight up that they wouldn't show if I didn't push the wedding back. I always knew my folks had a bit of a soft spot for Lisa, but I never thought they'd go this far for her. It was honestly really upsetting and just devastating for me. Still, I went along with it and let them know they could do whatever they wanted. Lisa was far from satisfied, even though it seemed like it should have wrapped things up. She wasn't a fan of my wedding plans, so she ensured the rest of the family stayed away too. At first, she attempted to sway others by claiming it was inconsiderate of me to tie the knot while she was facing such a tough time. While most people showed some compassion for her situation, they didn't outright say they wouldn't come to my wedding. She decided to take it to the next level after coming to this realization. She started weaving tales about me since the actual truth just didn't stir the pot enough. Lisa began asserting that I was convincing her husband to leave her, all because I was jealous of her and couldn't stand the thought of her having a child before I did. I had no prior friendship with her, Mark, so those claims were just absurd. If he and I had ever formed a bond, I honestly think Lisa wouldn't have tied the knot with him at all. For some reason, people started to buy into what she was saying. She went as far as to say that I was pestering her by persuading her Mark that he'd be better off without her, and somehow coaxing him to walk away. Lisa says it's my fault he doesn't want kids because I supposedly convinced him that not having children is the best choice for our generation. Everything was a lie. It seems like she spun her story so convincingly that people began to buy into it, even though I barely interacted with my James during his marriage to Lisa. A lot of people declined my wedding invitations. Some of my supportive cousins and other family members filled me in on Lisa's comments, so I was already in the loop about it. I wasn't surprised to find that no one bothered to give me a clear reason for their refusal. Just a handful of relatives and a couple of people from my family showed up for my wedding. All the other people around were either buddies or colleagues. The turnout on the bride's side was seriously lacking. In the weeks leading up to the wedding, I remember feeling incredibly angry about everything going on. A lot of people had already formed their opinions, and a few had even cut me off, but I figured I could still reach out and be straightforward with them. I didn't see the point since it would just be my word against hers. Luckily, my Mark, buddies, and family were all there to back me up on the big day. I hardly even realized that a bunch of my family members were missing since they went all out to make sure I had an awesome time. I still can't get over what Lisa did, even though my wedding day was a blast. She was ruthless and relentless in her actions. She always had a knack for ensuring my happiness took a back seat whenever things didn't go her way, which was pretty much her usual MO. She had been like way since childhood, but most people tend to move past those habits, particularly by their late 20s. Unfortunately, I can't say the same about her. After that incident, I completely severed ties with her and my parents, and my resentment towards them just grew stronger. I ran into Lisa's David for the first time since their divorce, which happened about a year ago. So there we were, just enjoying our lunch, when we spotted him sitting there with a few of his coworkers, chowing down. We totally didn't see that coming. It was a bit awkward at first, but then he came over to our table, congratulated us on our wedding, and said he was sorry for missing it. He explained that it was due to my sister's situation. We were polite since he was chatting away, and my husband even cracked a joke about how he might as well have come since Lisa didn't make it. Lisa's David looked completely baffled. That's when we started chatting about everything that happened before the wedding. He shared that Lisa had continuously delayed the mediation sessions and pushed back the divorce, insisting she was too busy preparing for my wedding. When her ex found out she hadn't even shown up, he was totally confused. He was taken aback by her unexpected enthusiasm for his wedding, yet he held back from addressing it directly, not wanting to suggest that she was delaying the divorce out of fear. He handled everything with as much chill as he could muster. We went over the details after he shared his side of the story, which involved Lisa not showing up to the wedding, her spreading lies about me, and her claim that I was trying to break up her marriage. After sharing his disbelief that Lisa would behave that way, he disclosed the real reason behind their breakup. This was about way more than just a disagreement over having children. After months of back and forth debates about having kids, her ex finally started to see things from her perspective and was close to shifting his stance. She shared something that completely changed the game the moment he decided to open up to her about it. She looked absolutely thrilled when he finally told her that he was ready to consider becoming a parent. So in what she thought was a joke, she mentioned that he would have to deal with it sooner or later, even if he wasn't ready for it. She admitted that she had secretly stopped taking her birth control pills without telling him when he pressed her for an explanation. She could have ended up pregnant if they had continued down that path, just making arrangements for him to handle it. He just couldn't wrap his head around this twisted plan. She had tricked us into thinking their arguments were just about wanting kids. But the truth was, their latest fight was really about her betrayal. Lisa tried to keep things casual, but that didn't change the fact that her actions were still pretty serious. Basically, she was trying to manipulate him into getting her pregnant, making it so he would have to deal with the pregnancy eventually. After that conversation with her David, my husband and I understood much better why she had acted so strangely around the time of our wedding. She knew deep down that she was responsible for her divorce. If she had just kept it to herself, none of this would have happened, even with the risky choice to stop her birth control. She might have had a kid with her mark, but she totally messed things up for herself before taking it out on me. After finding out all of this, my feelings towards her turned pretty sour. I could have come clean to my parents and other family members, but I chose not to. By that time, I had cut ties with those who weren't at my wedding, and honestly, I just wanted to move forward with my life. I chose to keep quiet and just move forward. Honestly, I don't regret what I said at all because my feelings towards her are pretty intense. I honestly believe it's a blessing that she hasn't had kids, as I doubt someone with her personality would make a good mother. It really gets under my skin that the only reason she and my parents reached out is because I'm pregnant, and now they want to act like everything's fine and dandy for the sake of my unborn child. That's just not going to happen. I agree with my in-laws and my Mark that the idea of my child having two mothers isn't really necessary. The way people aren't responding to my comment, particularly those I usually vibe with, is the only thing making me feel even a bit uncertain. Am I the bad guy for thinking that my sister might struggle as a mother, and that could be why she hasn't been able to get pregnant? To answer some questions, Lisa hasn't tied the knot again, and as far as I know, isn't dating anyone at the moment. I've picked up from friends and family that she's definitely not married, and her main focus right now is on having kids, even though I don't know much about her personal life. It's pretty clear why she's not keen on adopting a child or going the surrogate route. I think she believes that a child isn't really yours unless you've brought them into the world yourself. For more than 3 years, she's been on this journey, from attempting to conceive with her Mark to exploring donor options for IVF after the divorce. Up to this point, nothing has really panned out for her. While many might consider other options at this point, she's made it clear that she's not interested, and that's totally her call. It's really strange that they only attempted to make amends after I shared the news about my pregnancy. The comment about two moms really resonated with me. Also, you guys noticed that they specifically pointed out how this baby would be connected to her by blood. So just to clarify, my kid is technically her blood relative since she's my biological sister. Bringing it up while trying to make amends feels really off, and their actions definitely gave off a creepy, almost predatory vibe. I'm worried that if I try to forgive her and allow her some contact with my child, she might start projecting and behaving like the mother. There's no way I'm letting that happen. I've noticed that some of you are wondering why I haven't stood up for myself in front of the family or shared the real reason behind her divorce. Honestly, I just don't think it's worth it. After the wedding, I really started to see who my true friends and supporters were. The whole situation really hit me hard, and even though I felt the urge to share my side of the story, I ultimately chose to keep quiet. I just wanted some space. Some family members I generally get along with mentioned that I came off as a bit insensitive when I told Lisa she couldn't have kids. While they aren't looking for an apology from me, They definitely think the response was a bit over the top. These people have always had my back, which is why I'm feeling anxious. If they believe I was too harsh, then perhaps I have reason to be concerned. Here's the first update. Thanks for all the feedback on my post, everyone. Thanks for the backing, even if it feels like the majority think I'm in the right. I'm sticking to my choice to ignore Lisa and my parents, and I've decided not to offer them an apology. It's clear they're not pleased with this situation. They're playing the victim card on social media and in person, throwing shade at me in front of our family again. I'm already not in touch with those folks, so it doesn't really bother me. What could possibly go wrong that would lead to even more isolation for me? I decided to have a conversation with my family members who are supportive, but have a different opinion about my comment and tackle it head on. It seems like the whole family knows about what went down and what I said, and now Lisa and my parents are blowing it way out of proportion. I connected with those who genuinely care about me because I'm not about to waste my time with someone I don't vibe with. I came clean and told them that, in the heat of the moment, I had said those things. Still, that doesn't alter the reality that Lisa's intentional effort to steal the spotlight at my wedding was far more egregious. For years, Lisa has treated me poorly and shown a lack of respect, and I refuse to apologize for something that could very well be accurate. Her reaction to my comment won't be nearly as profound as the way she affected me with those rumors she spread. Due to her comments, my family decided not to attend my wedding. It's a different situation because my perspective won't change the fact that she's pregnant. The people who backed me are still in my corner, and my family appears to get it. I'm fine with them choosing to drop the subject for now. I just want my pregnancy to be filled with joy and good health. I'm really hoping this awkwardness between Lisa and my parents gets resolved soon. I really hope they don't drag this on, because I might end up having to share some stuff that won't sit well with them. I really wish I didn't have to handle this, especially with everything going on now that I'm expecting. Update 2. My parents have been acting like the victims and telling everyone in the family about what I said for the last 2 weeks since our last phone call. It's like they're on a mission to turn everyone against me, urging people to steer clear, cut off communication, and even isolate me from family members who actually like me. It feels like they want everyone to turn their backs on me. My parents' strategy hasn't really worked out because, like I said, I managed to sort things out with the people I care about. Clearly they weren't fans, so they took to social media to share some not-so-nice comments about me. I'm fully aware that the discussions are centered around me, even if my name isn't directly called out. There's been a lot of chatter about this one relative who's constantly trying to mess things up and has always been envious of Lisa. That's supposedly why I joked about her infertility, or so they claim. I figured it was all just a bunch of nonsense, so initially I wasn't bothered by it. It honestly hit hard when they recently claimed that I was the one who ruined Lisa's marriage. I decided to respond because they kept bringing up the same untruths they had shared with me back when I was getting married. I reached out to my ex James. We might not chat all the time, but we still acknowledge each other with greetings on holidays and birthdays. I shared all the details of what had been happening and asked if he would be okay with me being honest in a public setting. I followed his instructions exactly. The situation has really heated up since I shared my thoughts on Lisa's behavior and the real reason behind their split. Even though I haven't had a direct conversation with anyone, my family has been reaching out through calls, texts, and emails to inquire if it's true, to urge me to take down the post, and even to claim that I'm lying about Lisa again. I haven't replied to any of them. My parents and Lisa, on the flip side, have been pretty quiet, which kind of hints that they don't have much to say for themselves. I'm pretty confident they'll come up with something. It's honestly pretty disappointing that no one in the family has taken the time to apologize to me, but I guess I expected nothing less. I think I've managed to reveal Lisa's true nature, which was my main goal all along. I'm just going to chill and see how things unfold from here. Update 3. So Lisa and my parents finally reached out a few days after my last post, saying they were ready to apologize, but only if I agreed to have my post taken down. It looks like the rest of the family hasn't shown any remorse to me directly, but they've definitely reached out to my parents and Lisa to throw some shade at their choices. My parents were told it was unjust to paint me in a bad light when Lisa was really the one responsible for her divorce. My relationships with my parents have really taken a hit because of all the years they've spent deceiving the family. It's wild how quickly some family members flipped from hating me to turning on Lisa. That being said, I've made it clear that I don't think highly of those who jump to conclusions about me being the reason for Lisa's marriage problems. Now they're just as quick to jump to the conclusion that she was to blame from the start. They still won't apologize, and most of them have stopped reaching out to me. It seems like nobody is asking me to take down the post. And honestly, no one seems to care whether I was being truthful or not. I told Lisa and my parents that I'd hold off on taking down the post until I was ready to do so. I'm over their apologies at this point. I replied to their email and then decided to block them. They haven't reached out to me since, but this morning I decided to take down the post. It's not for them. I just don't want my social media cluttered with stuff about people who don't matter. Getting back at someone isn't helpful, and like I said, I'm aiming for a positive and healthy pregnancy experience. Honestly, I think that's more than enough punishment for Lisa and my parents, considering their nature. I've got family and friends who genuinely care, and my spouse and I are pretty happy together. Honestly, that's all I really need. Honestly, I couldn't care less about what my sister and parents are up to lately. Honestly, after everything that's happened, I really hope they get that. I just want them to stay away from me for good. Honestly, that's all I've got for now. Given everything that's gone down, I really don't think they'll reach out anytime soon. I really appreciate all the support, responses to my messages, and the guidance I've received from everyone. This means a lot to me. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, go ahead and do it. And don't forget to ring the notification bell so you can keep up with more unbelievable, real-life stories unfolding around you.